On today's show, the latest in the James Harden versus Daryl Morey saga. Just how bad can things get for Philadelphia now that the NBA is formally investigating this situation? How does all of this impact Joel Embiid and so much more? It's all coming up right here at Locked On NBA.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up and welcome to another edition of Locked On NBA, the biggest stories with the local experts. I'm your host, Jackson Gatlin, also host of Locked On Rockets right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Now, today's episode is brought to you by Bird Dogs. First, Bird Dogs make you look good. Bird Dogs stretch khaki shorts are designed to fit slimmer through the thigh and leg, giving you a truly sculpted look, which, hey, for me, I need all the help I can get in that sculpted department. Bird Dog shorts do the exact same thing as Lululemon, but they fit way better. Basically, they created this anti-stink, sweat-wicking fabric that is both cool and dry all day long. They are honestly the most comfortable shorts that you will ever own and ever wear. They've got so many different kinds and styles to choose from. You can wear them. They're so versatile. You can wear them just hanging out with friends, wear them on a beach day or a pool day, swim in them. You can wear them out on a date night. They are incredibly versatile, and you can check them out. Just go to birddogs.com/LockedOnNBA or enter promo code LockedOnNBA for a free white tech hat with every single purchase. That's birddogs.com/LockedOnNBA or promo code LockedOnNBA. You won't want to take your Bird Dogs off. We promise you that. Joining us now is the host of Locked On Sixers, Keith Pompey. You can track down wherever you listen to your podcasts and on YouTube. Just search Locked On 76ers. And Keith, the James Harden, Daryl Morey stalemate, saga, standoff, whatever you want to call it, went from bad to worse. I don't know how much worse it could potentially get at this point. I'm sure they're going to find a way to make it worse. But we start off this last week. It's early Monday morning. Everybody's barely getting their week started. And we get the bombshell news that comes out. James Harden is doing a tour overseas in China, and he goes out and absolutely badmouths Daryl Morey, calls him a liar. And I mean, he said it himself.
Daryl Morey is a liar.
First off, how shocked were you to see, Keith, an actual, like a, NBA player go out and just actively, I don't know if we have a situation to compare this to, with James Harden going out there actively calling out his acting president of basketball operations in Daryl Morey.
You know what? I was shocked. I was shocked, but I wasn't shocked. Like, I was shocked that it was James. Now, the thing is, if it was like Joel Embiid, if it was Tobias, if it was Tyrese Maxey, I'd be like, oh my, that's crazy. But the fact that it was James Harden, like, you said it, like, you really don't hear that. But the fact that it was James Harden saying that about Daryl, and you know how their relationship was in Houston for more than a decade, it's kind of sort of like, oh my gosh, this is really serious. Like, that this guy actually called his quote unquote partner in crime a liar after all the things that they've been through. And that's when you knew it was serious. Now, again, yes, you don't hear players say a liar, but the fact that James said it, it made it 100 times worse.
I mean, Daryl's been the one guy who's had James's back going all the way back to the Houston days, and it seemed like he finally turned on the one guy that was supposed to have his back. Now, obviously, there's a lot of stuff going on here. Right now, we've got the reports that the NBA is planning to investigate this situation. Keith, how bad could this get for the 76ers if we do find out that there was a, wink, handshake, under the table agreement between Daryl Morey and James Harden that they would make him whole this summer and then backed out of this deal?
Oh, it could get serious. I mean, like we're talking about before, where, they lost two second round picks this last year. But I think the Sixers could get fined again. I think they could possibly lose some later first round picks, over this. If the NBA finds something. Now, of course, the Sixers are saying, no, there's no wrongdoing, this and that. But what else do you expect them to say at this particular time, right? But the thing is, I think that this can really blow up in the 76ers' face. I mean, think about it. Like, the NBA is basically, and I know what they're saying, we're inquiring about it. Well, an investigation is an investigation. And the fact that the league has to go over and backtrack basically lets you know that this is something serious.
When you look at I guess there might be more than two paths moving forward, Keith, for the 76ers, but they're kind of, stuck on two sides here. Where do you maybe try and repair the relationship with James Harden and maybe you choose him in all of this, or do you stick by Daryl Morey and let the situation get, quote unquote, uncomfortable between the two and try to drag it out and find a proper solution the way that they did with the Ben Simmons situation? Is there a world, Keith, where maybe the Sixers as an organization decide to cut ties with Daryl Morey to try and salvage the situation? Or do you think he has the backing of ownership right now to let things get uncomfortable again?
I think he has the backing of the ownership right now. And that's just because, let's keep it real. Daryl Morey isn't the one who cuts the checks. Now, he's the one who may make suggestions. But the reason why James didn't get paid is because ownership didn't want to pay him, right? So Daryl is only, doing what the owner wants him to do. So I don't see that. And then also when you look at James, as far as like, coming back and doing this, it's still one of those things where there was a reason why they didn't want to pay him. Yeah. Does that make sense? Like it was a reason, like they felt like his skills were diminished, right? So it's kind of hard to say we're going to get rid of Daryl for James when James is a guy that you didn't want to invest long term in. But the one thing I will say is that though, if Daryl Morey doesn't get this thing right in regards to this like season coming up, or like, if he doesn't get stuff right, next summer, I could see Daryl being out of here. Like I honestly can. It seems, I mean, I really do. I think that this could be Daryl's last year.
What is this whole situation, Keith, when you look at just how things have kind of developed in the NBA landscape, where we've seen throughout, what has been called the player empowerment era, where players have more control than they ever have before. We're seeing guys make these tall demands. We're going through it right now with James Harden. We're going through the Damian Lillard trade request. At what point is there maybe too much power being shifted back to the players where they're not even at this point honoring their contracts, right? James Harden, went in, he opted into the contract under this idea that they were going to maybe be able to trade him to a preferred destination. Now it looks like that's not the case. Maybe Morey lied to him about having a trade partner lined up, but at what point does there need to be some pushback for the players to be able to be held accountable for honoring their end of their contracts, I guess?
Yeah, I think it's weird. I think there has to be some now, right? I mean, this is the point, right? And I do think that the league will try to make an example out of them. But it's also, I feel like you said, player empowerment. I mean, the guys are making so much money now to where ownerships tend to take the side of the player over the coach and over the executives, right? Because they want to sell tickets, they want to do this, they want to do that. And now it's kind of hard to put the genie back in the bottle a little bit, right? I mean, they're going to try and they're going to try to make an example of them, but it's just it shouldn't have come to this. I mean, think about this, man. They came out this year with collective bargaining saying that you will fine someone's agent 150,000 if a guy verbally requests a trade. Well, you had two people request a trade after that. Why? Because they're both making over $30 million. So to them, what is 150,000? So yes, the league has to do something, but the league, the rules have to get more stringent. I mean, suspensions, all types of things. Because if not, it's like the players know what they're worth, and it's hard for you to come down with strict rules that they're going to abide by.
Keith, how much worse do you think we can see this James Harden situation get before we get a resolution?
I think it could get ugly. I really do. I think James could come in here, come to Philadelphia, and destroy everything. He Ben Simmons wasn't really around. He practiced 2 times with the Sixers, and he just wasn't there. I think James could be around, and he can make it work. He can make it miserable for them. Because when you think about it, you have a new coach who's trying to implement something. The Sixers have already said that in the beginning of the season that it was Eastern Conference Finals or bust, right? James can come in here and destroy everything. And what that can do is that could probably have other guys, maybe Joel Embiid, questioning what his long-term future is with the team. Daryl Morey will probably get fired. It's going to be a lot of ramifications, a domino effect, I believe, if James comes in here and isn't 100% bored in. I think it could get ugly.
How much more toxic does the James Harden situation become in Philadelphia? What will the NBA's investigation ultimately reveal about the Sixers and this entire situation? You'll have us covered for all of that and more over at Locked On Sixers. Keith, I appreciate you stopping by Locked On NBA with me.
Thanks for having me, man.